Now, there's been mixed reaction to the US recent action in Venezuela. While many countries stress the importance of international law, few have openly criticized Washington, and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer calling the situation complex, and Germany's Chancellor Friedrich Merz warning of legal and political challenges. So let's look at how this is likely to have an impact, and also how should, in fact, the EU be responding. Economist and former Minister of Finance in Greece, Yanis Varoufakis, is joining us to take this forward. A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for your time. So, when you read about what is currently happening, you have two schools of thought, with some who are saying that the EU seems to be in a bind, doesn't know how to respond, with others who are saying that possibly what it has said could be sufficient. Which argument are you leaning towards?
I would say the first one. Both the European Union leaders, Merz, and Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister, have clearly failed the test of history. I mean, they have reached unprecedented levels of buffoonery so as to stay on the right side of the big Donald. And they have failed. They have failed spectacularly. I mean, what did they think? Did they truly believe that it was possible to proclaim the sovereignty of Denmark over Greenland while not condemning the violation of Venezuelan sovereignty by Trump? These are two impossible. You can't do both. You have to choose. Either you're going to defend international law, which means that it has to be universally applied, because a law that doesn't apply to everyone doesn't apply to anyone. So it is really very clear that the European Union are now, how shall I put it? They are the most, self-undermined, and a leadership that has shot itself in the foot. I mean, who's going to take them seriously now? The Chinese, the Russians, the South Africans, your country? How can you take seriously a European Union which, for instance, not just with regard to Venezuela, but whichever conflict you look at, they don't have a plan for war in Ukraine. They want to continue the war. They really don't want peace, unless they expect Putin to just fold his tent and go away. And they don't have a plan for peace. They don't have a plan for condemning Trump, and they don't have a plan for even finding a way of becoming his loyal servants. Europe is in an utter mess.
Could it be because they're speaking in different voices and seemingly not agreeing on a number of issues as far as the US is concerned?
Well, this is what you just described, of course, is a state of nature of the European Union. We don't have a government. We have, it is quite remarkable what we've done. We've federalized our money, so we have a common currency. We have a common central bank, the European Central Bank in Frankfurt. But we don't have a common treasury. We supposedly care about our defense together, but we don't have a common defense ministry. We don't even have a procurement program. We don't even have an electricity generation and distribution system across Europe. So you are absolutely right. I mean, it's not that Europe is an unfinished business. It is that it is simply, what Kissinger used to say. The problem with calling Europe and finding out what they believe is I don't know whom to call. So that's what essentially your question quite correctly indicated. But this is worse than that. It's not just that they don't agree with one another. If you look at, what is Friedrich Merz, the German Chancellor, what does he want? Does he want to break from the United States and condemn the United States for its position vis-à-vis Venezuela, for instance, for its threats on Greenland? Or does he want to go into bed with them? He hasn't made his mind up. So it's not just that there is... that would be normal for Paris and Berlin and Rome to disagree. But now they disagree with one another. They have no coherent policy as individual leaders. So the rot is going very, very deeply in Europe.
So When you look at all of this, right, against the backdrop of what the US president has in fact posted on his Truth Social account this evening, in fact this afternoon, saying that, remember, and I'm quoting, for all of those big NATO fans, they were at 2% GDP and most weren't paying their bills until I came along. The USA was foolishly paying for them and respectfully got them to 5% GDP, and they pay immediately. Everyone said that that couldn't be done, but it could, because beyond all else, they are all my friends. So how much pardon me, go ahead.
No, what he really meant was that they are all his vassals. Remember, we have a former Dutch Prime Minister, Mr. Rutte, who is now the Secretary General of NATO, who had the audacity, and he didn't feel humiliated, to call Donald Trump Daddy and say, Daddy, you were right. And you smacked us and we deserve your smack, and now we're going to be good boys and girls and we're going to increase our defense spending. By the way, the question of defense spending is a total red herring. I mean, when France or Greece or Germany, for that matter, increase defense spending, what they do is they buy American weaponry. What for? What do we need more weapons for? We've paid $1.5 trillion, and you realize that. That's 1,500 billion. On American weaponry over the last 8 years. And what are we doing with it? What is the point? What do we want? Do we want to invade Russia? Now, I certainly wouldn't want that. But, I hear European leaders calling Vladimir Putin the new Hitler. Well, last time there was a Hitler around, we invaded him, we attacked him, we tried to drive him into the bunker in Berlin until he committed suicide. They're not doing this with Vladimir Putin. They're not doing any of that stuff. So look, Trump is a real estate businessman. He just wants to sell more stuff to the Europeans. He wants to stop them from imposing digital taxes on Google, on Meta, on big tech. And he simply wipes the floor clean with the Europeans. And they say, thank you, Daddy. That's, I think my friends in South Africa and in Africa more generally, you will fail to resist the temptation to find something comical about European former colonial powers behaving like vassals to the American overlord.
Interesting developments there. Let's see what happens, because it seems that his Truth Social account is quite a buzz this evening as well, as it's morning there. But thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. That was the economist and former Minister of Finance in Greece, Yanis Varoufakis, joining us now to discuss some of the developments there in Venezuela, and also just with the European Union and how it's been processing these latest developments.